My name does not matter right now. What matters is what happened on the night everyone thought was a celebration of love. I am a woman in my early 60s, a grandmother with soft hands, gray hair, and a smile people always said made them feel safe. For 10 years, I carried my marriage like a fragile glass bowl, careful, patient, hopeful it would never crack. But on that night, at our wedding anniversary party, I lifted the bowl high and shattered it in 1 minute. Before I continue, please listen to me for a moment. If you enjoy emotional stories that carry truth, pain, and lessons, please subscribe to this channel. Like this video, turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next part, and tell me in the comments which part of the country you are watching from. I read your comments, and they mean more to me than you know. Now let me take you back to the moment everything stopped. The hall was full. 200 guests sat on white chairs covered with gold ribbons. Soft music floated in the air. The lights were warm. Laughter filled every corner. People clapped as my husband and I walked in holding hands. 10 years of marriage, they said. 10 years of love, they cheered. I smiled. I waved. I nodded. But inside me, my heart was shaking like a scared child. Behind us, a massive projector screen stood tall. Everyone thought it was for old photos, wedding pictures, family memories, happy moments. That was what my husband believed too. He squeezed my hand and whispered, "You did so well planning this party." I looked at him and smiled again. "Yes," I said softly. "I planned everything." The host picked up the microphone and spoke loudly. "Tonight, we celebrate love, patience, and commitment. Our beautiful couple has prepared a special video for us." People clapped. Some stood up. Phones came out to record. My husband turned to me, surprised and happy. "A video?" he asked. "You didn't tell me." I nodded slowly. I wanted it to be a surprise. The lights dimmed. The screen turned black. My heart beat so loud I thought everyone could hear it. Then I raised my hand. "Please," I said into the microphone, my voice calm but firm. "Watch carefully." The video started. At first, it was silent. Then the picture became clear. A room. A bed. A familiar wall color. Someone gasped. The camera angle was wrong, shaky, hidden. And then, 2 people appeared on the screen. A woman. A man. The woman turned her face slightly, and the hall froze. It was me. No, not me standing there in the hall. It was my wife's self. My face. My hair. My body. But not with my husband. The man beside her was younger. Stronger. Wearing a gym shirt. Someone screamed. A glass dropped and shattered on the floor. My husband's hand slipped out of mine. The video kept playing. There was no sound from the crowd now. Just breathing. Heavy, confused breathing. My husband stared at the screen. His mouth opened, but no words came out. His knees trembled. "This is not real," someone whispered. But it was real. 1 minute. That was all it took. 1 minute to destroy a marriage that took 10 years to build. I watched my husband fall into a chair. I watched friends cover their mouths. I watched family members look away in shame. And I stood there. Still. Quiet. Strong. When the video ended, the screen went black again. No music. No applause. Just silence. Then my husband looked up at me with red eyes and whispered, "Why?" I leaned into the microphone again. But before I could speak, someone shouted from the back of the hall. And everything changed again. Now, let me stop here. Because to understand why I did this, you must first understand how I got here. What pushed a grandmother like me to plan such a night? What truth did I carry alone for so long? And who really betrayed whom first? Before that night, before the bright lights, the music, and the shocked faces, there was a long silence. A silence that lived inside my marriage. Let me take you back. 10 years earlier, when we got married, I believed love was enough. I believed patience could fix anything. I believed that if I stayed quiet, stayed kind, stayed loyal, everything would work out. I was already a grandmother then. My children were grown. My life was calm. When he came into my life, people said, "You are lucky. You found love again." And I believed them. In the beginning, he was gentle. He laughed easily. He held my hand in public. He called me his peace. He said I made his life better. But slowly, very slowly, something changed. He became distant. Not angry. Not cruel. Just absent. He would sit beside me but not really be there. His phone was always in his hand. When I spoke, he nodded without listening. At night, he turned his back to me in bed. I told myself, he is tired. Work is hard. Men don't talk much. So I stayed quiet. Months passed. Then years. And the silence grew louder. He started spending more time at the gym. At first, I was proud of him. He said he wanted to be healthy, strong, active. I encouraged him. I packed his gym bag. I washed his clothes. Sometimes, he came home late. Traffic, he would say. Sometimes, he smelled different. Not sweat. Something sweet. Something sharp. New soap, he said once, laughing. I laughed too. Because that's what I did. I laughed to cover the small ache growing in my chest. One evening, while folding laundry, his phone buzzed on the table. He was in the shower. I did not plan to touch it. I truly did not. But the screen lit up. A message preview. Just 3 words. Miss you already. My hands froze. I stared at the phone like it was a snake. I told myself, do not jump to conclusions. It could be anyone. When he came out of the bathroom, I asked gently, who misses you already? He did not even look surprised. Gym friend, he said. Nothing serious. Gym friend. Those words stayed with me all night. From that day, my heart stopped resting. I began to notice things. He started guarding his phone. Always face down. Always locked. He smiled at messages but never showed me. He stepped outside to take calls. And worst of all, he stopped looking at me. I would dress nicely, cook his favorite meals, sit close to him. He barely noticed. One day, I asked him directly, "Are you happy with me?" He sighed like I had asked something annoying. "Why do you always ask questions?" That was my answer. The distance between us grew wider. Not with fights. With silence. And silence is dangerous. Because it gives your mind room to imagine things you are afraid of. I tried to fix it. I suggested trips. Date nights. Counseling. He refused everything. Then one afternoon, something happened that changed me forever. I went to the gym. I had never been there before. I wanted to surprise him. I wanted to show support. When I walked in, the smell of rubber and sweat filled the air. Loud music played. Young bodies moved everywhere. I felt out of place. I asked the receptionist, "Please, is my husband here?" She pointed. I turned. And I saw him. He was laughing. Really laughing. The kind of laugh I had not seen in years. Standing close to him was a woman. Young. Fit. Confident. She touched his arm while speaking. He did not pull away. My heart sank. I watched from a distance. I watched how he leaned toward her. How his eyes followed her movements. How natural they looked together. Then she whispered something into his ear. And he smiled the way he used to smile at me. I left the gym without saying a word. That night, I cried quietly in the bathroom so he wouldn't hear me. But I still did not accuse him. I needed proof. Weeks later, proof came to me. Without asking. One morning, he forgot his tablet at home. He used it for videos at the gym. I noticed a notification blinking. I should have ignored it. But my heart already knew something my mind was still denying. I opened it. And there it was. Videos. Messages. Pictures. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the tablet. I saw my husband in places he never took me anymore. I saw him touching someone who was not his wife. I heard his voice saying words he had not said to me in years. I sat on the bed for a long time. I did not scream. I did not cry. Something inside me broke quietly. That day, I made a decision. Not to fight. Not to beg. Not to leave. I decided to wait. To plan. To let the truth speak for itself. And when he later came home and smiled at me, kissed my forehead, and asked, "What's for dinner?" I smiled back. Because by then, I already knew what I would show the world. But I had no idea that someone else was watching me too, and that the video I planned to play was not the only secret waiting to be revealed. After the day I found the videos on the tablet, I became a different woman. Not on the outside. On the outside, I was still the same calm grandmother. I cooked. I cleaned. I smiled at neighbors. I answered calls from family. I prayed before bed. But inside me, something had gone quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Dangerous quiet. Every morning, I woke up beside a man who no longer belonged to me. I listened to his breathing. I watched him sleep. I wondered how easily a person could lie with their whole body. He acted normal. That was the hardest part. He still asked about my day. Still complained about work. Still ate my food and praised my cooking. Still held my hand in public like nothing was wrong. Sometimes I wanted to scream. I know everything. But I didn't. Because I was not ready. I wanted the truth to stand where lies had been living for too long. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. And every day, the weight inside my chest grew heavier. I watched him prepare for the gym like it was a sacred place. He shaved carefully. Chose his clothes slowly. Sprayed perfume he never wore for me. Once, I asked him softly, "Why do you dress so nicely just to exercise?" He laughed. "You worry too much." I nodded. Because worrying was easier than crying. At night, when he fell asleep, I lay awake thinking, why wasn't I enough? When did I stop being seen? Was it my age? My body? My silence? Those thoughts hurt more than the videos. One afternoon, my granddaughter came to visit. She climbed onto my lap and played with my hair. "Grandma," she said, "why are you sad even when you smile?" Her words cut deep. I hugged her tightly. "I'm not sad," I lied. "I'm just tired." But I was not tired. I was wounded. Still I kept going. Then something unexpected happened. One evening, while washing dishes, I heard him talking on the phone in the bedroom. His voice was low, careful. "I can't rush things," he said. "No, not yet. She trusts me." My hands froze in the soapy water. She trusts me. I realized then that I was not just being betrayed. I was being underestimated. He thought I was weak. Too old. Too quiet to notice. That night, I made another decision. If I was going to reveal the truth, I would do it properly. Not with shouting. Not with tears. But with dignity. I began to plan carefully. I checked dates. Our 10th wedding anniversary was coming. A big number. A celebration everyone would expect. I suggested a party. He was surprised. "You want to do all that?" he asked. "Yes," I said calmly. 10 years is special. He smiled. "All right," he said. "If that makes you happy." If only he knew. I invited family, friends, church members, colleagues. The guest list grew to 200 people. Everyone praised me. "You are such a strong woman. You still believe in love. You inspire us. I smiled and thanked them. At night, I gathered my evidence. I copied the videos. I selected the clearest one. The one that showed everything without words. I watched it alone many times. Each time, my chest tightened. But I did not cry. I was past tears. Then, something happened that almost ruined everything. One afternoon, he came home early. I was on the laptop. The video was open. My heart jumped into my throat. "What are you watching?" he asked casually, walking toward me. In one quick movement, I closed the laptop. "Just a movie," I said. He looked at me closely. For a second, I thought he knew. Then he smiled and walked away. That night, I barely slept. I realized how close I was to losing control of the story. From that day, I became even more careful. I practiced my face in the mirror. Calm, gentle, unbothered. I practiced my voice. Soft, steady, strong. I told myself, when the time comes, do not shake. But as the party day came closer, something strange began to happen. People around me started acting odd. A friend asked, "Are you sure you want to do this?" A cousin said, "Some things are better handled privately." Even the event planner looked nervous when I insisted on a large projector screen. "Do you need something very clear?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Very clear." Then, 3 days before the party, I received a message from an unknown number. It said only one sentence. "If you play that video, you will regret it." My hands trembled. I read it again. And again. Who knew? How did they know? And what would they do to stop me? I deleted the message. But that night, as I lay in bed beside my sleeping husband, I realized something terrifying. I was not the only one keeping secrets anymore. And whatever was coming was bigger than just a broken marriage. That message stayed with me. "If you play that video, you will regret it." I tried to pretend it meant nothing. I told myself it was just a scare tactic. Maybe a wrong number. Maybe someone joking. But deep down, I knew better. Someone knew what I was planning. And that meant someone had been watching me. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy feeling in my chest. My husband was already dressed, tying his shoes. "I'll be late today," he said. "Extra session at the gym." I nodded. "Be careful." As soon as he left, I locked the door and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking again, but this time not from sadness. From fear. I picked up my phone and reread the message. There was no name. No picture. Just the number. I thought of replying. "Who are you? What do you want?" But I didn't. I had learned something over the years. Silence makes people reveal themselves. Still, I had to be careful. I started moving my evidence to different places. I saved copies on a flash drive. I emailed one to a trusted friend without explanation. I even wrote a short note, just in case something happened to me. Not dramatic. Just wise. That afternoon, my daughter came to visit. She looked at me closely the moment she walked in. "Mom," she said, "you don't look well." "I'm fine," I replied. She sat beside me and took my hand. "You've been quiet lately. Is something wrong with your marriage?" I looked at her. For a moment, I wanted to tell her everything. To cry like a child in her arms. To let someone else carry the pain. But I couldn't. Not yet. "Marriage has ups and downs," I said. "That's all." She nodded slowly, but I could see she didn't believe me. Before she left, she hugged me and whispered, "Whatever happens, don't face it alone." Her words followed me long after she walked out. That night, my husband was unusually kind. He brought flowers. He cooked dinner. He even held my hand longer than usual. It felt strange. Almost fake. "You've been such a good wife," he said. I'm lucky to have you. I looked at him and wondered how easily words could lie. Later, as we lay in bed, he turned to me and asked, "Are you happy?" The question shocked me. "Yes," I answered after a pause. "Are you?" He didn't reply. Instead, he turned away. That was when I realized something important. He was afraid. The next day, another message came. Same number. "You still have time to stop this." This time, I felt anger rise inside me. Stop what? Telling the truth? I decided to confront the fear instead of running from it. I went to the gym. Not to find him. To find her. I walked in slowly, my heart pounding. I scanned the room until I saw her near the weights. She looked just like I remembered. Confident, strong, young. I approached her. "Excuse me," I said. She turned. Her face changed when she saw me. "You're his wife," she said quietly. So she knew me too. "Yes," I replied. "We need to talk." She hesitated, then nodded. We moved to a quiet corner. "I know about the videos," I said calmly. Her eyes widened. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she whispered. "He said you knew. He said you didn't mind." That lie hit me harder than anything else. "He told you that?" I asked. She nodded. "He said you were understanding. That you had an agreement." I took a deep breath. There was no agreement. Only betrayal. "Someone has been sending me messages," I said. "Is it you?" She shook her head quickly. "No. I swear. I didn't know you were planning anything. I don't want trouble." I studied her face. She was scared. "Then who knows?" I asked. She looked around and lowered her voice. "People talk," she said. "He talks. He bragged. Said you would never do anything." My chest tightened. So that was it. He thought I was harmless. Before I could ask more, a voice interrupted us. "Is there a problem here?" I turned. It was the gym manager. And behind him, my husband. His face was pale. "What are you doing here?" he asked me. "I came to exercise," I said calmly. "Is that not allowed?" He forced a laugh, but his eyes were dark. We left separately. That night, the house felt colder than ever. We ate in silence. Then he finally spoke. "Someone told me you've been acting strange," he said. "Planning things. Talking to people." I looked up at him. "Yes," I replied. "I am planning something." His jaw tightened. "What kind of thing?" I smiled. "A celebration." He stared at me for a long time. Then he stood up and walked away. That was when I knew. The warning messages were not empty threats. The storm was coming. And the closer the anniversary got, the more dangerous the truth became. The days before the anniversary party moved slowly, like time itself was afraid of what was coming. On the outside, everything looked perfect. Invitations were confirmed. The hall was booked. The cake was ordered, 3 layers, white and gold, with 10 years of love written across the top. The decorations arrived in boxes. The sound system was tested. The projector screen stood tall and bright. People kept calling me. "You look so happy," they said. "This party will be beautiful," they said. "You and your husband are an example," they said. I thanked them all. And every time, my smile felt heavier. At home, my husband became careful. Too careful. He watched me when he thought I wasn't looking. He asked questions he never asked before. "Who are you texting? Why are you smiling at your phone? Why do you need such a big screen?" I answered everything gently. "Friends. Just planning. It's for memories." He nodded, but his eyes never relaxed. One evening, while we sat in the living room, he suddenly said, "You know, not every problem needs an audience." I turned to him slowly. "What do you mean?" I asked. He shrugged. Some things should stay between husband and wife. My heart beat faster. Yes, I said calmly. Some things should. That night, I could feel him watching me even in his sleep. The next morning, I woke up early and went into the guest room. I opened my bag and checked everything again. Flash drive. Backup phone. Email confirmation. Everything was safe. Or so I thought. Later that day, something terrifying happened. I tried to open my email. My password didn't work. I tried again. Still nothing. Panic rose in my chest. I clicked, forgot password. The recovery email had been changed. My heart dropped. Someone had accessed my account. I checked the flash drive. It was still there. But my phone, my backup phone, was missing. I searched everywhere. It was gone. My hands trembled as I sat on the bed. Someone had crossed a line. When my husband came home, I watched him closely. He acted normal. Too normal. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing, I replied. But my eyes stayed on his pockets. That night, I barely slept. I realized something painful. He was not just cheating. He was trying to control the truth. The next day, I visited my old friend, the one I had emailed earlier. I didn't explain much. I just said, "If anything happens, you know what to do." She looked at me seriously and nodded. "I will," she said. As I left her house, my phone buzzed. A new message. Same unknown number. "You see. You are not as prepared as you think." My knees felt weak. I sat in my car and cried for the first time in months. Not loud. Just quiet tears sliding down my face. I thought of my grandchildren. My children. My dignity. I almost gave up. Almost. That night, my husband sat beside me and spoke softly. "You seem stressed," he said. "We can cancel the party if you want." I looked at him. Cancel the party. That was it. That was what he wanted. I smiled gently. "No," I said. "Everything is ready." He studied my face. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Yes," I replied. "I've waited a long time for this." Something dark flashed in his eyes. Then he stood up and walked away. The night before the party, I dressed the bed with fresh sheets. I folded his clothes. I cooked dinner. Everything felt like goodbye. As we lay in bed, he suddenly reached for my hand. "Whatever happens tomorrow," he said slowly, "remember that I love you." I pulled my hand away. "Love doesn't hide," I said quietly. He froze. Neither of us slept after that. The morning of the anniversary arrived. I stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a simple, elegant gown. I looked at my reflection. I did not see a victim. I saw a woman who survived 10 years of silence. Before leaving the house, I checked my bag one last time. Flash drive. Still there. I closed the zipper. But as I stepped outside, a car slowed down beside me. The window rolled down. A woman leaned out. I had never seen her before, but the look in her eyes made my blood run cold. "Last chance," she said quietly. "Walk away." Then the car drove off. I stood there shaking. The message was clear. Someone wanted this buried forever. But I was already on my way. And there was no turning back. The drive to the event hall felt longer than it should have. Every traffic light. Every slow car. Every second. It was like the world was testing my patience, asking me one last time if I was sure. My husband sat beside me, quiet. Too quiet. He looked out the window, tapping his fingers on his knee. Not nervous in the way a man afraid of being caught would be. Nervous in the way a man afraid of losing control would be. "You're very calm today," he said suddenly. I kept my eyes on the road. "So are you." He smiled slightly. "I trust you." Those words almost made me laugh. Almost. When we arrived at the hall, everything looked perfect. Just like the pictures in my head. White and gold decorations. Soft lights. A long red carpet at the entrance. People were already arriving. Family hugged me. Friends praised me. Strangers smiled and said, "Happy anniversary." I thanked them all. Inside me, my heart beat like a drum. The event planner walked up to me with a clipboard. "Everything is set," she said. "The video is ready whenever you give the signal." I nodded. "Thank you." My husband turned sharply. "What video?" he asked. I smiled politely. "The one I told you about." He stared at me for a second longer than normal, then forced a laugh. "Oh yes. That one." But his face had lost its color. As guests continued to arrive, I noticed something strange. People were whispering. Not happy whispers. Careful whispers. Some avoided my eyes. Some hugged me longer than usual. Some looked at my husband with a mix of pity and confusion. I realized then that the secret was not as secret as I thought. It was leaking. I spotted the gym instructor across the hall. She stood near the back, dressed nicely, looking uncomfortable. Our eyes met for a second. She looked away. I hadn't invited her. Someone else had. My chest tightened. I turned to my husband. "Did you invite her?" He followed my gaze and stiffened. She asked to come," he said quickly. "I didn't think it would matter. Didn't think it would matter." Everything mattered now. The host stepped onto the stage and welcomed everyone. Music played. Applause filled the room. We were asked to sit at the front table. As we sat, my husband leaned closer and whispered, "Please, whatever you're planning, think about our family." I looked at him calmly. "I have," I said. "For a long time." Dinner was served. I barely tasted the food. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed. Another message. Same number. "This is your final warning." I deleted it without replying. I was done being afraid. The host returned to the stage, smiling. "And now," he said, "our lovely couple has prepared something special for all of us tonight." Applause erupted. My husband's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist under the table. "Don't," he whispered. "We can talk. We can fix this." I gently removed his hand. "It's time," I said. I stood up. The room quieted as all eyes turned to me. I took the microphone. My voice was steady. "Thank you all for coming," I began. 10 years is a long time. Long enough to build memories. Long enough to build trust. I paused. And long enough for the truth to find its way to the light. The room went completely silent. My husband stood up suddenly. "This isn't necessary," he said loudly, forcing a smile. "She's just emotional." I turned and looked at him. "Sit down," I said softly. Something in my voice made him freeze. He sat. I raised my hand toward the technician. "Please," I said, "play the video." The lights dimmed. The screen went black. But before the video could start, someone shouted from the crowd, "Stop!" Everyone turned. A man stood up near the middle of the hall. I recognized him immediately. The gym manager. My heart dropped. "This party should not continue," he said firmly. "There are things you all don't understand." Murmurs spread through the room. My husband jumped to his feet. "What are you doing?" he snapped. The manager looked straight at him. "Enough," he said. "This has gone too far." My pulse raced. "What do you mean?" I asked. The manager took a deep breath. "Because that video," he said slowly, "is not the only one." Gasps filled the hall. I felt dizzy. "What other video?" someone whispered. The manager turned and looked directly at me. "The one that explains why this man is so desperate to stop tonight." My husband's face turned grey. "Sit down," I demanded. But the manager wasn't done. "There are recordings," he said, "that involve threats, stolen devices, and manipulation." The room erupted. My husband shouted, "This is a lie." But no one was listening anymore. I stood frozen, my mind spinning. So there really was more. More secrets. More lies. And I had no idea what they were. The technician looked at me, confused. "Ma'am," he whispered, "which video should I play?" I opened my mouth to answer, when suddenly, the projector screen turned on by itself. The room gasped. A new video began to play. One I had never seen before. And as the first image appeared, I realized something terrifying. This night was no longer under my control. The room froze. No one spoke. No one breathed. All eyes were locked on the screen. At first, the video showed a dark hallway. The camera angle was low, hidden, shaking slightly. The date and time glowed in the corner of the screen. It was recent. Then a voice came through the speakers. My voice. The crowd murmured. I felt the blood drain from my face. On the screen, I heard myself speaking on the phone. "I need everything backed up," the voice said. "I won't let him lie his way out." My knees weakened. That was a private call. A call I made alone in my bedroom. How was it recorded? The video continued. It showed me entering a room. My own house. The camera angle changed. It was from inside. Inside my home. People began whispering loudly now. Why is she being recorded? Who recorded this? What is going on? My husband slowly sat back down, his breathing heavy. Sweat formed on his forehead. For the first time that night. He looked scared. The video jumped to another scene. Me at my friend's house. Me handing her something. The flash drive. Gasps filled the hall. Someone shouted. She planned everything. My chest tightened. The video stopped. The lights came back on. The room exploded into noise. People stood up. People argued. People pointed. What is this? Why was she spying? Is this revenge? My husband stood up again, his voice loud and shaking. You see, he cried. She planned to humiliate me. She recorded things. She trapped me. My head spun. This was not how it was supposed to go. I grabbed the microphone with trembling hands. Please, I said. That video was taken without my permission. I did not record myself. I was being watched. Some believed me. Some didn't. Then the gym manager stepped forward again. Everyone, he said firmly. This is exactly why I tried to stop this. He turned to the crowd. That man, he said, pointing at my husband, has been monitoring her movements for months. The room quieted slightly. He installed hidden cameras in their home, the manager continued. Not to protect himself, but to control the story. My husband shouted. That's a lie. But his voice cracked. The manager held up his phone. I have proof, he said. Messages. Instructions. Payments. My heart pounded. Payments. The gym instructor stood up suddenly, crying. He made me do it, she sobbed. He told me she was unstable, that she might hurt herself. He said the recordings were for safety. The crowd turned on my husband now. You lied. You set her up. How long has this been happening? My husband looked around wildly. She wanted to destroy me, he screamed. She was planning to ruin my life in front of everyone. I raised the microphone again. My voice shook, but I spoke. Yes, I said. I planned to show the truth. I paused. But I did not plan to be hunted in my own home. The room fell silent again. I continued slowly, choosing each word carefully. For months, I lived with a man who cheated on me, lied to me, and watched me without my knowledge. I stayed quiet. I gathered proof. Not for revenge, but so I would not be called a liar. Tears rolled down my face. I am a grandmother, I said. I wanted dignity, not drama. People began to nod. Sympathy returned. But then, my husband smiled. Not a happy smile. A dangerous one. You still don't get it, he said calmly. The room went still. He stepped forward. You think this makes you the victim? He asked. You think they'll protect you? My stomach twisted. What do you mean? I asked. He turned to the crowd. Ask her, he said, pointing at me, why she waited 10 years. Murmurs rose again. Why didn't you leave? Why stay so long? Why plan a public shame? My husband's voice grew stronger. Because she needed me, he said. Because without me, she had nothing. The words cut deep. I shook my head. That's not true, I whispered. He leaned closer. Isn't it? He asked softly. Do you really want them to hear everything? My heart skipped. Everything. The gym manager stepped forward. What else is there? He asked. My husband laughed bitterly. Oh, he said. There's plenty. Then he turned and looked straight at me. Tell them, he said. Or I will. The room waited. My hands trembled around the microphone. What else was he hiding? And why did it feel like this secret would hurt me even more than the betrayal? I opened my mouth to speak, when suddenly, a woman's voice cried out from the back of the hall. Stop this now. I turned, and when I saw who it was, my legs almost gave way, because standing there, shaking, with tears in her eyes, was someone I never expected to see. The woman stood at the back of the hall, her chest rising and falling fast. Everyone turned to look at her. Some whispered her name. Some looked confused. Some looked away, as if they already knew what was coming. I felt the room tilt. Because I knew her. She was my husband's older sister. The woman who introduced us. The woman who stood beside me on my wedding day. The woman I trusted when I trusted no one else. She pushed through the crowd, her hands shaking. Stop this, she said again, her voice breaking. Please stop. My husband's face changed the moment he saw her. Not anger. Not fear. Relief. Good, he said quietly. You're finally here. My heart dropped. What is she doing here? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. His sister reached the front and looked at me with eyes full of guilt. I tried to stop him, she said. I really did. Stop him. From what? The room was silent now. Even the air felt heavy. My husband took the microphone from my trembling hands. Since we are already destroying everything, he said coldly, let's finish it. I stepped back, my legs weak. Don't, I whispered. He ignored me. You all think you know this woman, he said, pointing at me. The calm grandmother. The patient wife. The victim. He laughed once, sharp and bitter. But you don't know what she's been hiding for years. Gasps filled the room. My chest felt tight, like something was crushing it from the inside. His sister covered her face with her hands. Please, she begged. Not like this. But he was done protecting anyone. Tell them, he said, turning to me again. Tell them why you were so scared to leave. Tell them why you stayed. I shook my head slowly. No, I said. That story is not yours to tell. He smiled. Then I will. The room leaned in. He took a deep breath. She stayed, he said, because she believed she owed me her silence. My ears rang. Owed you? Someone repeated. He looked around proudly. Years before we got married, he continued, something happened in her family. Something that could have destroyed her reputation forever. My vision blurred. His sister cried openly now. You promised, she whispered to him. You promised never to use that. He turned on her. And you promised to protect me, he snapped. We're done with promises. I reached for the microphone again. Enough, I said, my voice shaking. This has nothing to do with our marriage. Oh, it has everything to do with it, he replied. Because it's the reason you stayed quiet. The reason you didn't fight back. The crowd was restless. Say it, someone shouted. What is it? Another asked. I closed my eyes. I had buried this for so long. I had prayed it would die with time. But secrets don't die. They wait. Slowly, I lifted my head. I will tell it myself, I said. My husband stepped back, surprised. The room fell quiet again. My family went through a tragedy many years ago, I began. One that was misunderstood by many people. I swallowed hard. A young relative of mine was accused of something terrible. Something shameful. The truth was never fully heard. I paused. My husband helped handle the situation back then. He helped protect my family from public destruction. My husband smiled. There it is, he said. She owed me. I shook my head. No, I said firmly. I was grateful. Not owned. I looked at the crowd. I married him believing we were partners. That gratitude does not give anyone the right to control another human being. People murmured in agreement. But my husband wasn't finished. You didn't tell them everything, he said. Tell them what would happen if the truth came out today. My throat tightened. I hesitated. And that hesitation was all he needed. He leaned forward and spoke loudly. It would ruin her family. Her children. Her grandchildren. The crowd gasped. I felt tears spill down my face. That is why she stayed, he continued. That is why she smiled. That is why she planned this show instead of leaving quietly. My knees buckled, but I stayed standing. Yes, I said softly. I was afraid. I wiped my tears. But fear does not cancel truth. I turned to him. You used my pain to control me, I said. You cheated on me while watching me. You threatened me while pretending to love me. The gym manager stepped forward again. This changes nothing, he said firmly. Your actions are still crimes. But my husband laughed. You think she'll press charges? He asked. You think she'll risk everything? He looked at me with confidence. You won't, he said. Because you're too afraid. The room waited for my answer. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break my ribs. For the first time that night, I realized the real battle was not the video. It was me. Would I choose silence again? Or would I risk everything to finally be free? I opened my mouth to speak. When my phone buzzed in my hand. One message. From my friend. Just 4 words. The truth is safe. My breath caught. Safe. I looked up slowly. And in that moment, my fear began to change. Into something else. Something my husband had never seen before. My phone was still shaking in my hand. The truth is safe. I read the message again. And again. My husband saw my face change. The confidence he had been wearing like armor cracked just a little. What is that? He asked sharply. I slowly lifted my head. For the first time in 10 years. I smiled without fear. You were wrong, I said calmly. The room went quiet. About what? He asked, his voice suddenly tight. You were wrong about what you still control, I replied. I turned to the crowd, holding the microphone with steady hands. For many years, I said, I lived in silence because I believed my family would be destroyed if the truth came out. I paused. But today, I learned something important. I looked directly at him. The truth does not belong to the person who hides it. It belongs to the person brave enough to face it. Murmurs rippled through the hall. My husband stepped forward. You don't know what you're doing, he said. You'll regret this. I shook my head. No, I said softly. I regret staying quiet. I turned toward the gym manager and the guests. There is something you all deserve to know, I continued. The secret he threatened me with was never a crime. Gasps filled the room. It was a lie that grew because people were afraid to question it, I said. And today, that lie has already been exposed. My husband froze. What are you talking about? He demanded. I lifted my phone. My friend, I said, met with a lawyer months ago. That story you've been holding over my head. I looked him straight in the eyes. It was cleared. Years ago. Quietly. Completely. The color drained from his face. That's impossible, he whispered. It's not, I replied. You just never thought I would check. His sister let out a broken sob. I told you, she cried. I told you to let it go. The room buzzed now. Angry, confused, alive. My husband backed away slowly. You're lying, he said, but his voice had lost its power. I shook my head. You controlled me with fear, I said. But fear only works when the threat is real. I turned back to the technician. Please, I said clearly. Play the original video. The 1 minute. The truth. The lights dimmed again. This time, no one interrupted. The screen came alive. The room. The bed. The unmistakable faces. Gasps turned into cries. Some guests covered their eyes. Others stared. Frozen. My husband collapsed into his chair. The video ended. 1 minute. Exactly as I promised. The lights came back on. Silence fell again, but it was different now. Heavy. Final. I stepped forward one last time. This, I said, is why I invited you all. I turned to my husband. You didn't lose your marriage tonight, I said quietly. You lost it every time you chose betrayal over honesty. Tears streamed down his face now. I was afraid, he whispered. I didn't want to lose you. I looked at him with a calm I had never known before. You lost me when you thought fear could replace love. The gym manager spoke. Sir, he said firmly, authorities have been informed. The recordings. The devices. The threats. My husband looked around wildly. You wouldn't, he said to me. After everything. I met his eyes. I already have, I said. A gasp swept through the room. His sister dropped into a chair, crying. Guests slowly began to stand. Some hugged me. Some apologized. Some simply nodded with respect. But I felt no victory. Only release. As security approached my husband, he looked back at me one last time. You planned this, he said bitterly. I nodded. Yes, I replied. But not to destroy you. I paused. To save myself. As he was led away, the hall buzzed with whispers and shock. I stood alone at the front, breathing deeply. 10 years of silence had ended. But I knew something else too. This was not the end of my story. Not yet. Because tomorrow, the world would wake up to what happened tonight. And I would have to decide what kind of woman I would be next. The hall slowly emptied. One by one, the guests left, not with laughter this time, but with quiet steps and heavy thoughts. Some hugged me before leaving. Some whispered prayers. Some could not even look at me. I understood all of them. That night had changed more than my marriage. It had changed how people saw truth, silence, and courage. When the doors finally closed, I was left standing alone in the middle of the hall. The decorations were still beautiful. The cake was untouched. 10 years of love still shone in gold letters. I stared at it for a long time. Then I turned away. Outside, the air felt different. Lighter. Like I could finally breathe without asking permission. My daughter ran toward me as soon as she saw me. Mom! She cried, wrapping her arms around me. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I held her tightly. You weren't supposed to know, I said softly. I wanted to protect you. She pulled back and looked at my face. You protected everyone, she said. But who protected you? I didn't answer. Because for the first time in my life, I was. That night, I did not go home. I stayed with my daughter. I slept peacefully for the first time in years. No fear. No watching eyes. No lies beside me in bed. The next morning, my phone was full of messages. Some were kind. Some were angry. Some were cruel. But none of them controlled me anymore. I met with a lawyer that afternoon. Everything moved quickly after that. The hidden cameras. The threats. The manipulation. None of it disappeared into silence again. This time, the truth stayed loud. Days later, I went back to the house alone to pack my things. I walked through each room slowly. The kitchen where I cooked with love. The living room where I smiled through pain. The bedroom where I cried quietly in the dark. I did not hate the house. I simply released it. I packed only what mattered. Photos. Letters. Memories that belonged to me, not to the lie. Before leaving, I stood in the doorway and whispered, "Goodbye to the woman who stayed too long." Then I closed the door. Life after that was not easy. Healing never is. Some nights, I cried. Some mornings, I felt lost. Some days, the weight of starting over felt too heavy. But something was different. I was no longer afraid. I began to speak. I began to laugh again. I began to live as myself, not as someone else's silence. One afternoon, my granddaughter climbed onto my lap again. "Grandma," she asked, "are you happy now?" I smiled. "Yes," I said. "I am learning how to be." And that was the truth. Not every story ends with applause. Some end with freedom. If you are watching this and living in silence, if you are smiling while breaking inside, if you think it is too late to choose yourself, please hear me. It is not. You are never too old. You are never too weak. And you are never wrong for wanting truth. Before you go, if this story touched your heart, please like this video so more people can hear it. Subscribe to this channel for more emotional, powerful stories like this. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter of someone's truth. And please tell me in the comments, from which part of the world are you watching from? You are not alone. Thank you for listening to my story.